The midnight chase. It was just past midnight when Jake heard the sound, a faint rustling outside his window, followed by the low growl of an engine. His heart raced. Who would be out here in the middle of nowhere? Grabbing his flashlight, he slipped into his boots and crept outside. The moon cast eerie shadows over the old barn where the noise seemed to come from. As he got closer, he saw it. An old black car with no license plates parked behind the barn. Suddenly, the driver's door swung open. A hooded figure stepped out, staring right at Jake. Without a word, they bolted toward the woods, and Jake's instincts kicked in. He ran after them. The forest was dense, branches scraping his arms, but he couldn't stop. He had to know. Who was this person? Why were they here? The figure darted left, and Jake followed, breathless. They stopped at a clearing, standing over a large, unmarked box. "Stay back," the figure warned, but Jake wasn't about to stop now. He lunged forward, grabbing the edge of the box. With a swift kick, the stranger shoved him back and vanished into the night. Jake stared down at the box, his pulse pounding in his ears. Slowly, he pried it open, his hands shaking. What he saw inside would change everything. Jake stood frozen, staring at the open box in front of him. The dim moonlight barely revealed its contents, but what he saw was enough to shock him. Inside the box were a pile of old papers, surrounded by strange objects. An old pocket watch stuck at midnight, a large rusty key, and a black and white photograph of someone wearing the same hood the mysterious figure had worn. "What is this?" Jake muttered to himself. He felt like this box held secrets bigger than he could have imagined. Suddenly, he noticed something else. In the corner of the box was a leather-bound journal, old and torn at the edges. Carefully, he picked it up and began flipping through the pages. Date September 23, 1954. The experiment was successful, but the results were unexpected. The words scrawled on the pages seemed to be part of a personal journal. But what was the experiment, and who wrote this? Before he could think further, Jake heard footsteps approaching from behind. He spun around, and there they were. The hooded figure had returned, but this time they weren't alone. Two others, also dressed in black hoodies, stood by their side. "You shouldn't have interfered, Jake." The first figure spoke in a calm, eerie voice. "How do you know my name? Who are you?" Jake shouted, backing away slowly, but they had no intention of answering. The one in front pulled something from their pocket, a small device that looked like a remote, and pressed a button. Suddenly, the box started shaking violently, and the papers and photos inside began glowing with a strange, otherworldly light. Jake had no idea what was happening, but he knew he had to run, and fast.